All right, boys and girls, today we are going to start working on our VS.4 unit, which is the Colonial Virginia unit. We just got through learning about Jamestown and the first settlers, so this is a time period after that. Okay, so here are our objectives. Today I will use interactive notes and a smartboard lesson so I can understand everyday life in the Virginia colony. And I'll know I'll have it when I can describe the life of the Englishmen and the Indians. We will be completing the green gold notes page and cash crop Frayer model. All right, so boys and girls, you will be completing note pages, and you actually have copies of these that your parents should have picked up at the school. So if you look at my note page, anything that is underlined, you're going to have to write in yourself, okay? Now, your note page does not already have these filled in, but this is what it should look like after you have completed today's lesson. So you will watch the video of the PowerPoint recording and you will fill in the blanks from the PowerPoint. Make sure you write neatly so that your teacher can read your handwriting. All right, boys and girls, you should have out your note page that has a title on the top that says green gold. So as I go through this PowerPoint, anything that is underlined goes on your note page. So if you look at this first page right here, you're not going to have to write anything from your note page, from this page onto your note page, because nothing is underlined. This is just me telling you the story. So when we're thinking about colonial Virginia, tobacco was already popular by the time Jamestown was established in 1607. People used pipes like these that are here in this picture to smoke the tobacco. The colonists saw that the Indians were planting tobacco. The tobacco that was native to Virginia was a harsh type of tobacco. John Rolfe started growing a sweet, scented crop of tobacco from seeds that he had gotten from the Caribbean. So the colonists soon discovered that England would pay more for the sweet, scented tobacco. They decided to grow more and more tobacco. In 1616, they exported 2,300 pounds of tobacco, and in 1618, they exported almost 50,000 pounds. That's a lot more in just 2 years. John Rolfe is also famous for another reason. Does anyone know or remember who he married? He actually married Pocahontas. A lot of you think that Pocahontas married John Smith because of the Disney movie, but that is not correct. Pocahontas married John Rolfe. All right, so the green gold. Okay, boys and girls, here is where you see your note page. So here's the title of your note page, and you can see that this part is the first thing that you're going to have to write in on your note page. So if you need to pause this slide for just a second to get this, you may do so. So cash crop, and you need to write on your note page is a crop that is grown to sell for money rather than for use by the growers. Okay, so get that on that top part as part of your note page. And then nothing else on this slide goes on your note page, so you can just take a quick break after you finish that and listen. So you need to remember, this is a review, that agriculture is growing crops and raising animals for food and trade. Let's look at this. Is corn an example of agriculture? Yes, it sure is. What about pigs? Pigs is an example of agriculture also because it fits right there. Agriculture is growing crops and raising animals. What about tobacco? Tobacco is, wheat is, and so is chickens. What do you think was the most profitable agriculture product? Now, profitable means it made the most money. I bet you can guess. Yes, it was tobacco. All right, boys and girls, do you see all these bold words that are underlined? These go on your note page. So the economy, you need to write economy in the blank on your note page. The economy of the Virginia colony depended on agriculture, and that is growing of crops and animals to make money, as a primary source of wealth. Tobacco became the most profitable agriculture product, and tobacco was sold in England as a cash crop. If you need to pause this video, you may pause it in order to have time to write these things down on your note page. All right, if you look at this page, there's nothing underlined or nothing in bold. So make sure that you're just following along here and listening. So the colonists soon discovered that tobacco crops were a lot of work. It took a whole year's work to grow tobacco crops. Colonists had to gather the tiny seeds, grow them early in the year in cold frames, transport the plants outside when the soil got warmer, weed throughout the summer, top off the plants, harvest the leaves individually, bundle the leaves for drying, and more. So who was going to do all of this work? They couldn't get it all done in order to make a lot of money like they wanted to. Okay, we're moving on, boys and girls. And if you notice, this page has bold underlined words. So when you see that, you know that's something you're going to have to put on your note page, okay? So the successful cultivation, which means farming, of tobacco depended on a steady and inexpensive, that means it didn't cost a lot of money, source of labor. So because of that reason, large numbers of African men, women, and children were brought to the colony and enslaved to work on the plantations. And what that means is if they were enslaved, they did not come willingly. The Virginia colony became dependent on slave labor, and that dependence lasted a very long time. Okay, boys and girls, now we're going to look at something that is called the Frayer model, okay? And this is where you put a vocabulary word in the center of your page. And in one box, you have the definition, you can draw a picture, you list examples, and you list non-examples, okay? So you also have a copy of this in your note page, okay? So let's think about cash crop. If we look back at our note page, we already know the definition of a cash crop, correct? So okay, so we know that a cash crop is a crop that is grown to sell for money and not to be. All right, so it's a crop that is grown to sell for money and not to be used by the farmer. So a picture, you can draw anything that you would like. I'm going to draw what to me is tobacco plants because that was the most profitable product, and your drawing can probably be much better than mine. All right, so here we're going to list some examples of cash crops. All right, so it could be acres of corn, of course, tobacco, all right, these can be wheat, anything in large amounts that's meant to sell for money. And this, remember, requires someone to work it all the time. So it is a full-time job, okay? Now, some non-examples would be just a small garden for the family. All right, tomato plants in the backyard. A mom growing green beans. For non-example, one person can take care of it. This is a one person can tend to it. All right, so again, boys and girls, a cash crop is something that is grown to sell for money rather for use by the farmer. Examples are acres of corn or tobacco or wheat, anything in large amounts that requires people to work it in a full-time job. Some non-examples would be a small garden for the family,